obviously I've known Mauro quite a long time from his time at Bournemouth and Barnet. He's a very experienced player. He's hungry to get back to this level from what's happened to him in the first half of the season. He can play a number of positions. Obviously he can play wing back, full back, centre midfield, centre forward. He fills a lot of slots, and he's a good guy and a hard worker, and we're looking forward to having him with us.
You're right, Mauro. How are you today, mate?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm very well. Welcome to my studio and the Chinwag podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's all right. So, you play for Dagenham Redbridge at the moment, but let's reel it in all the way back to your childhood. How did you start playing football? Who got you into it?
I think it's a cliche. Watch your dad play, and him and his mates started a team, and they used to play. I think it was on Sundays, well, weekends anyway. So we used to all go and watch and stuff, and I think I was probably only about 3 or 4 when I used to watch him. And ever since then, just never let go of football, to be honest with you.
Was it just football at an early age, or did you play any other sports that interested you?
I played every sport, but football was the only one that I really had full-on passion for.
So when you first started playing, who did you play for? Was it like a Sunday league team?
Sunday league. I played Sunday league all the way up until 16. Didn't ever really go to academies. I went and done some training with 1 or 2, but no, I played Sunday league all the way until I got my scholarship.
So what scholarship did you get, and what club were you at?
So what happened was, before all that, there was a program called Kicks. They used to run after school clubs, and we used to go, and just everyone from my school and stuff, we used to go and play, and then they would enter tournaments and stuff like that. And we ended up winning the qualifiers at Tottenham's training ground 1 year, and that then took you to the Nationals, where you played at Chelsea Stadium, and we ended up winning that as well. And I got a bit of interest from that, and then so I had an offer to go on trial at Aston Villa. And whilst that was going on, I had a surprise visit at my school. I had Barnet Fc manager come in, basically say, look, we want you to stay here. The Kicks program was run by the Barnet charity side, community side. They kind of spoke to Barnet and said, look, Barnet were just starting a youth academy, so they come into my school and basically said, look, we want you to come down, we want you to sign, we don't need you to go on trial, we'll sign you straight away because we kind of already know who you are, and we want you to be part of our academy. So I ended up signing a scholarship there and done 2 years there.
So what was it like to sign that scholarship at 16, not having been in any academies before that?
To me, it was just normal. I can't lie, if I'm being honest, I didn't really think about, me not being in an academy or anything, didn't really cross my mind, really, until I went and had a trial at Tottenham. Football was I just love football, so regardless of what level I was playing at, I just enjoyed myself. I was with my friends, having fun, and it didn't really hit me until I actually signed it, or once I had them chances to. I think I realised what football was like, or I've always wanted to take football serious, but it proper hit me when I'd probably say when I went on trial at Tottenham, and then I had got offered 5 weeks trial at Aston Villa. That's when it sunk in.
Was that before you were 16?
Yeah, just before. So in year 11.
Okay. So how did you get that trial from Tottenham? How did you get that trial from Villa?
So the trial from Tottenham, again from the tournament, we went to Tottenham training ground. We won that tournament, and they had people there watching. So they asked me to come down and train with the academy and try to get a scholarship. And yeah, sadly that one didn't work out. But then, yeah, I just continued it didn't faze me at all. I just continued playing football, just enjoying myself. And then when we went to the national tournament and won that, that's when Aston Villa come over and asked me to go there for 5 weeks.
So what was that like, those 5 weeks? What do you remember?
I didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go?
Just before I'm pretty sure I'd like to say it was a week before I was actually meant to go. That's when the Barnet Fc manager came into my school.
Okay.
And said, yeah, why risk 5 weeks when you can sign a contract straight away?
So was that a difficult decision?
Oh yeah, for sure. I haven't really said this before I haven't been on a podcast yet, so...
It's your first one?
Yeah, I wanted to go on trial. My mind was go to Aston Villa.
So what made you turn your mind?
I sat down and spoke to my dad and stuff, and he's just like, look, I get that's a big thing, it's a big club and stuff, but you could always start at the bottom and build your way up. And my dad's a big part of my life, so...
I was going to say, obviously you watched your dad at 3-4 and now he's influencing you here.
And not only that, the way I am today is probably, well, not probably, it's definitely my thought process and stuff. I give a lot of credit to him. Like, only probably one thing that my dad, the moment I signed, he was like, listen, there's no clubbing, there's no partying. If you really want to take this football stuff serious, bed at 9 o'clock. So, regardless if we're at a party and your cousin's around, but when you've got to leave, you've got to leave. And you're proper strict on that. That's
very good. So before that, before you were 16, you said you were taking football serious. Were you worried that you weren't going to get somewhere?
Not necessarily taking football. I was just enjoying myself.
Just enjoying yourself.
For me, I just always thought you have fun and eventually you'll get picked. Like the thought process of football to me as a kid, I don't know. I just always loved football. So I didn't even. There wasn't a. Obviously, when you start your GCSEs, everyone's like, oh, what are you going to do when you're after? And you say you want to be a footballer, and they're like, oh, hardly anyone makes it. Those type of stuff never fazed me. In my head, I was going to be a footballer. So I would do everything I can to be a footballer.
So when you signed for Barnet, what was that day like you signed? It must have been a great day for yourself, your dad, your whole family. So what was that like, the day you signed?
I think all round we were just all... in shock at first, especially when I signed it. Like, everything probably was a blur at first, but yeah, it was the hard work starts again.
So you said you had that 2-year scholarship.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know what that involves, what did the 2-year scholarship involve, and what was the end goal for you? I'm guessing it was trying to get into the first team. So what was that 2-year scholarship like?
Yeah, it was very fast paced, very crazy. Obviously, it was a brand new, fresh team. So literally, we were the very first squad assembled. It took a little while for us to get used to each other, but we ended up becoming a family. And first year was hard, but we still enjoyed ourselves.
Why was it hard?
We're coming up against teams that have been with each other from kids, and they had their way of playing. We're getting used to each other and stuff like that. So yeah, it was quite humbling at the same time though, because we were all good. So it was just a thing of, as soon as we clicked, it was perfect.
In that first year, did you ever think to yourself, this is maybe a bit too hard, I'm going to have to try and work even harder?
Nah, work rate for me has never been a problem. I work hard regardless. I always try to push myself. The aim was, I think it was quite early on, one of the our striker, he was on the bench for the first team. And that just ignited a fire in me. Like, I don't think it's just me, all of us. We were all so happy for him, and he definitely deserved it. But at the same time, we all wanted to be in that position.
Yeah, of course.
And so that ignited a fire in pretty much all of us. And I ended up being offered my first pro in my first year. I think it was in September.
So what was that like when you obviously working your socks off and then you get offered your first pro? So when you realise that's going to happen to you, what must that feel like? What did that feel like?
Couldn't tell you.
You can tell me.
Couldn't tell you. I just remember them bringing me into the office, and I didn't know what it was for, to be honest with you. They asked me to bring my parents in, and normally you don't really, if it's just a conversation they want to have, it's normally just bring you into the office and have a chat, but they brought my parents in. And yeah, from the moment they said, we're offering you a pro, I don't think I remember anything else.
So you get that pro contract. You start. I'm guessing obviously you start training then with the first team.
Not necessarily. I did try, not constantly. For example, so I signed my pro, but it only kicked in at the start of my scholarship, I think. I'm pretty sure.
So were you just bouncing around between the academy and the first team?
Yeah, pretty much.
So what was that? So when you trained with the first team, what was that like for you as a young player?
First training session was quite nerve-wracking. Like I knew all the players from before, because I used to do coding for Barnet as well whilst I was in school.
Okay.
So I pretty much knew everyone, and then when you first sign, you get to meet everyone as well. And yeah, everyone was just so welcoming. But when it comes to training, it's proper training. Like, they don't care who you are. And I enjoyed it. I got smashed every now and then, which you normally do when you're a youngster, but it's more about getting up and just keep going.
So we're going to progress it further on. So now that you're in the first team training constantly, are you trying to break into that first team? Are you on the bench a lot? Are you not in the squad a lot? So how did that process work for you for the start of your career?
I first made the bench the end of that first year. Middle or the end of the first year, I made we were fighting relegation. We had 2 games left.
This is when you're in League 2.
Yeah. We were fighting relegation, 2 games left. Paul Fairclough was a manager. We was away. Can't remember who it was against, but we played away. And I was on the bench, and he brought me on for the last 8 to 10 minutes.
Is this your debut?
My debut.
Your debut. Wow. Okay.
Wait, let me bring that in and take that back. Actually, my debut was Southend in the cup game at home. I come on and scored a header from a corner. We ended up losing, I think, 2-1 or 3-2 or something like that. But that was just
so you scored on your debut. Yeah. What was that? What did that feel like?
As soon as the ball went in, again another moment where I'm running, but I wasn't there.
Surreal. It's like you're an autopilot.
Yeah, I wasn't there, and yeah, it was an amazing feeling, if I'm honest with you.
So then, obviously, the final 2-game season, you get called.
So I come on. Second game, the game before last, and we ended up losing. We were losing 1-0 or 2-0, 2-1, something like that. I've come on. We ended up losing that game, and then in my head I thought, okay, it's last game of the season. They're fighting relegation. I'm probably either on the bench or in the stands, but hopefully we make it up, stay up. And then during training, I was doing well in training, and then on Thursday, the manager brought me into the office and said, "How you feeling?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm good." And he was just like, "I just want to let you know that you're going to be starting the last game of the season." So
that must have been a real confidence booster for you, that the manager trusts you to put you in that pressure situation.
Yeah, a bit nerve-wracking, but at the same time, it's back then, at that age, I just love football. So to me, I didn't see it as, it's not pressure, it's just I get to play football. Playing with my teammates, I couldn't care less.
So what was the
on the pitch.
outcome of that game?
Yeah, so we were 0-0. I played, I'd say about 60, 70 minutes. It's 0-0, I come off. And Albert Jarrett, the one that come on for me, ended up getting the winning goal, I think it was. And we ended up staying up, so it was just a relief. I loved every moment of it, though.
So now it's the start of the second season, and you just stayed up in League Two. So what did the second season at Barnet, or your first full season in the first team, entail for you?
So I remember my second year scholarship, I was pretty much with the first team throughout. Probably played here and there, played a few games. But then my first actual year pro, we got a new manager. Trying to think of who it was. I had so many over there at Barnet. But he come in and I wasn't really in favour, so I ended up going on loan to Hendon first. Played a few games for them. Last game of my loan, I got injured. I was out for, I'd say, about 2 months.
So what is that like going out on loan from obviously Barnet's a bigger club than Hendon. So what is that like going from Barnet to Hendon? Were you happy to be there, or were you?
See, I was young. It wasn't a thing where, oh, I'm going on loan, I've got no chance or whatever. I'm going to play football. I'm going to play men's football.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thought I had in my head. I go to use it as a stepping stone to play week in, week out, prove myself, and come back and see where it takes me. And yeah, I did well there. They wanted to extend my loan, but there was a few other clubs that were interested. But then I ended up getting injured. And as I was coming back, I had a chance to, Hendon wanted me to go back, but Boreham Wood also come calling. So I went Boreham Wood and literally fit in straight away. Got along with everyone.
So how long were you on loan at Boreham Wood for? Was it like half a season?
Yeah, I think it might have ended up being something like that. I remember going for a month and then probably stayed a little bit longer.
So what made Boreham Wood so enjoyable for that half season? Was it the people around you?
Yeah, that one of the boys that was at Barnet with me was there. I knew a few of the boys that are there anyway. Damn, I almost forgot. So just before Barnet, I actually went and trialled out for the Boreham Wood Pace team stuff as well. So I almost went there as well. But yeah, not talking about that. Yeah, I just got along with everyone at Boreham Wood. Manager just looked after me, just allowed me to be me, express myself, and yeah, it was good.
I guess that's the most important thing. If the manager believes in you, lets you express yourself, that's, I guess, as a forward player, that's one of the most important things.
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure. Everything just comes second nature to you.
So after your loan at Boreham Wood, how you returned to Barnet. So the manager that didn't like you, but didn't have that faith in you, that wanted to send you out on loan, was he still there?
That's a good question.
If he was, so when you returned.
No, I'm saying it's a good question because
okay.
the reason I'm saying that is because, as I said, I've had so many managers at Barnet, and the timescales were ridiculous. Like, probably wasn't. I remember. Oh no, he probably was. I don't know if it was my first loan spell at Boreham Wood or my second. I was doing very well. We had a chance of getting promoted. And then I got called back because one of the boys at Barnet got injured. The manager called me and said, I need you back. I've seen that you're playing very well, so come back and we'll be playing. And again, we had like 2 or 3 games left or something like that. And I come back. The first game, got into the change room thinking I'm starting or on the bench. And then I ended up in the stands.
So what was that feeling like?
I lost my head.
Yeah?
I lost my head. The only, I was ready to, I'm not a bad egg or anything, but I had really lost my head with him. In terms of I was ready to swear and do all types of nonsense. But luckily we had a lot of good senior pros there. one or two people pulled me aside and just said, Mauro, this is a business. This is just the way football is. Like, as horrible as it is, you've come back in training, you've been a joke, but it's just part of football.
So obviously that's a little bit of like a reality check for, in that situation. Were you at Barnet when Edgar Davids was there?
Yeah.
So what was that like having someone like Edgar Davids?
Unreal.
Was it? So tell me about Edgar Davids and what it was like to play with him, to be coached by him.
I grew up knowing who he was, watching him. Well, yeah, quite a bit of him anyway. And when it happened, again, I was on loan. When he first came in, I was actually on loan. But the moment he did come in, my mind was set that I needed to go back. And yeah, it was... I don't know how to put it. He just demands 100% every single day. Whatever you do has to be 100%. And he just expects you to do everything. And that opened my, like... So I used to think I was a hard worker, or I'd always try doing stuff. And he opened my eyes a little bit and said, yo, you can do a lot more.
Yeah, so obviously that's the caliber of player that he was. And what was your personal relationship like on the pitch, off the pitch?
Off the pitch, it was great. Great. He's very... To me, for instance, he would speak to me and ask about my family. Like, looked like he kind of cared. He would show, like, see what you, I don't know, check your, kind of like look at your background and see what you're like as a person and stuff like that. I haven't really got a bad word to say about him. He was always good with me, to be honest with you.
So when you're in the Barnet first team and now you're playing first team football, so what was it like, obviously week in, week out playing football for Barnet, and then how were your seasons going, how were the games going, and how was the squad looking? Because you said you were in League 2, so you must have had a FIFA card.
Yeah.
So how was that, having a FIFA card?
Surreal. Surreal. I had my first one, I think I was 16, 17, I had my first one. Then we got relegated, so we didn't have one for a while.
Were all your mates like, oh my God, Mauro's got a FIFA card, we're going to play with him on FIFA?
I think I was, what's that, 17? So yeah, it's surreal. It's just surreal.
Then yeah, you said you got relegated. And then...
Yeah, we got relegated, and then we got promoted again in 2015. I don't know how to describe that year. It was definitely my best footballing wise in terms of squad, everything. Our cohesion was something else.
Why do you think that was your best season? Or do you think it's because people around...
Not best season because we got promoted. We won the league. Yeah, we were a family. If someone weren't playing, it wasn't really... It's not a sulking.
There's no animosity for that person.
It's cool. When I come on, I'm going to do my thing anyway. We all had the same goal, same vision, and that all stemmed from the manager.
So how long were you at Barnet for after that league win, when you got yourself promoted back into League 2?
2015, I left Barnet in... So 2009 I signed, was there for 2020.
You left in 2020. So
yeah,
what's
2019, 2020 season, I think it was.
So what's the reason you left Barnet? Did you want a new challenge, or was it something else that affected your decision?
Bit of everything. New challenge, and yeah, I'm grateful for everything the owner did for me and the opportunities they gave me. They gave me my first break, so I can't sit here and say anything bad about him. At the end of the day, I am who I am, and I've done what I've done thanks to them. So yeah, nothing bad to say.
So you leave Barnet, you have the intention of joining a new club, and that club was?
I ended up signing, so I left during COVID. I ended up signing for Finchley and Wingate. which was an experience. I enjoyed it.
An experience how?
I
How different was it to Barnet?
standard, pretty much the pitches. Yeah, just stuff like that really. More like just a bit of the standard and the pitches. That's all I'd say really.
So it's obviously different to obviously like the flat carpets you get at Barnet.
Don't get me wrong, you do get some bad pitches, but yeah, it's just you go to stadiums where the pitches ain't the greatest. The level of players, like the way people think, are slightly different. It's just it was right. As I said, I have nothing. I think it was an experience I needed to have.
Okay. So you were at Barnet. You were at Wingate and Finchley for a season.
No.
Season?
So during COVID, it stopped. The season stopped after 3 months.
So what was that like as a player when COVID hit and everything had to stop? Obviously, because that is your job.
Yeah, it was crazy. So when it first hit, 2019, wasn't it? I was still at Barnet then, and I think everyone's life just turned upside down. Staying at home. It was an experience. I think it was nice in a sense of you're with your loved ones. You get to have plenty of time with them that you won't ever have again. But at the same time, it was crazy because it was a pandemic. People were losing their lives, and you couldn't see, if you didn't live with no one, you can't see no one. So it had its ups and it had its downs really.
So for you, after that COVID period, what were your football plans? Was it to stay at Wingate and Finchley, or was it to move on?
So Wingate's season ended early, but then I ended up going to, I think it was a month later, or probably 2-3 weeks later or so, I ended up going to Hampton Richmond on loan, or signed a dual registration, since their season was still up and running. I ended up staying there I played for a month, and then their season got ended. So from there I was just sitting at home for, I'd probably say like 2-3 weeks or so. And then I got a call from one of my old teammates. We were just talking, and he was at Dagenham, and he was like, "Why don't you just come here? Why are you just sitting at home and going to the gym, or going out and training on your own? Why not just come here?" And I said, "Yeah, to be fair, I didn't even think about that. I didn't think of calling you." And he was like, "Look, I'm going to speak to one of the guys over there, and he'll call you." And luckily, luckily, I had him as a manager before at Barnet, and he knows what I'm about and stuff. And he was like, "What are you doing?" So he organised for me to go there. So I ended up signing until the end of the season, and then I ended up after the season signing a 2-year deal.
So what was that like, signing a 2-year deal at Dagenham and a chance to play in a conference again?
It was good. I enjoyed the back end of that season, the season before, with them, and we had a very good team. So in my eyes, we can get promoted. So it was just couldn't wait to get started. We started like a house on fire. We were top for first 6 to 8 weeks or so. We were just flying. We were just enjoying ourselves.
So what's the key to that? Was it the manager obviously believed in the whole team? Was it when you said at Barnet, like you guys were a family? Was it like that? Everything.
Everything. It was. We all actually believed in ourselves, like in the team that we had, and we believed in the manager as well, and that. And then once you start off well, and you're enjoying the football you're playing, you can just maintain it.
So how did that season go, your first full year?
My first full year, we ended up losing out on the playoffs by a point.
Okay, so what was that like? So obviously you said you were top for a while, and then
we dropped off a little bit. We had a rough patch, But even then, it didn't affect us in terms of like, we weren't thinking, oh, here we go, we're crumbling or anything. No, it was literally, we all knew it was just tiny mistakes. And as soon as we eradicate them, we'll be back on top.
So what was that season like for you personally, as in goals, assists? How well were you doing getting into the play and stuff?
I would have liked to have got more goals. I'd have liked more, well, both. I put players in quite a few times. But that's just part of football, I guess. I think at times, like, I can only control me, and I know that for me, I need to score more goals. And that's one of the things I've been working on, or was working on until I got injured. But yeah, I think apart from that, I think I played very well that year.
So that was last season?
That was last
So
season.
now this season, this is your second year of your 2-year deal. How has this season gone? You said you got injured. So how has this season gone for you personally and for the team?
We started off slow this year. But then, well, not really slow. Our first 2 games or so, I think we lost or drew, which isn't what we wanted. But yeah, I was enjoying myself this year. I think I had 3 in the last 3 games, and I got injured at Barnet, and that was my 10th game of the season.
You got injured against Barnet?
Against Barnet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had just scored. We're up 1-0, I think it is, at the time.
Did you celebrate?
I don't really celebrate.
How do you not?
Well, I do.
Balotelli vibes?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Just walk to the corner flag.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I got a freak injury, and that sidelined me for 5 months.
So what is that like mentally? Obviously, physically, it's difficult, but mentally for you, being sidelined for 5 months, not being able to help your team, what is that? What is that like?
I think at the start it's fine. Like, I was annoyed, but didn't affect me in terms of I've been injured before. Never really had an injury like this where I've had an operation and out for this long, but injuries happen.
What is the injury?
So I tore my rectus femoris off my hip bone.
Oh wow. Okay. So how did you do that? Just was it in a tackle? Was it in running? Just off the ball?
No, on the ball. So I've gone to take someone on. He's managed to win the ball back, but then I've won it back. And as I've won it back, I've planted my left leg. He's dragged my right hand. So as he's falling, my left leg's going one way, my body's going another. And I just felt a massive pop.
Oh wow. Okay. So, So you said you've been out for 5 months. Mm-hmm. How long do these injuries normally take to recover? Are you going for? I'm guessing there's rehab involved.
Rehab.
How long left of your? Do you think you can start playing again?
I should be back fairly soon. I'd like to say in a couple of weeks I should be back. I had a setback, so I come back and I was training a little bit and I had a little setback, but these things happen. I feel a lot better now, and yeah, I'm just in the last phases now. Hopefully in the next week or so I could be back training.
We've already talked about a lot, isn't it?
No, yeah, we have.
We have talked about a lot.
I think that's it.
Alright.
I just need to do a challenge with you.
Yeah, you do. But yeah, thank you, Mauro, for joining me today. Mate.
No, thank you very much for having me.
And I appreciate you.
It's been long overdue.
Oh, it has.
Let me put that in there.
It has. I've asked this guy so many times, and he's finally.
But yeah, I'm finally here.
Lord.
Even though I probably don't even want him to post this, because I don't really. If I'm honest with you, I don't do this.
Yeah.
When it comes to even interviews after football, I'll do them, but I don't know, man. It's just not my thing.
But yeah, I appreciate it very much.
Pleasure's all mine.
Yeah, we'll get a challenge done as well when you're back.
For sure.
And thank you very much for joining me.
No, thank you very much.
If you enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow Mauro on his socials in the description down below. Don't forget, I'll see you later for more.
Peace.
Alright, love, bro.
Nah, pleasure's all mine, brother. Pleasure's all mine.